Okay, no one's here yet, I don't think, so I'm just going to get my other thing up so I can see when someone's online. Make sure the sound's off. Hello, Burgess. Oh gosh, lots of people are in already. Were you all waiting for me? Hi. Hi, Katie. Hi, Kerry. Let me just move these so I haven't got shadows all over the place. I've just been streaming for my patrons, but there wasn't many people on, so I thought I would pop on the big channel as well and say hello to you guys, because it's been a while since I've streamed over here. Hi, Sue. Mandy, Lee. Hi there. So today we went to... Oh, and of course I can't show you because it's all on my other phone. Today we went to Middleport Pottery, which is just up the road, and we were visiting Santa's Grotto. You missed the live stream on Patreon. It's alright, it's processing at the moment and it'll be saving. And I'll do the same with this one. This one will go on Patreon afterwards as well. So, I always save my streams. Yeah, so we were at Santa's Grotto today. So there's Santa and Mrs. Claus. Joy, her name was. With pink hair. Isn't she awesome? And that's my picture of them, which I was just doing for my patrons. I was just finishing off. And it's all sparkly. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera. I can't see very well. But it's all sparkly. She's got sparkly red trim on her dress and her hat. And she's got silver on her muff. And silver on her glasses and her earrings. And a red brooch. And a red bow. And he's got gold. So he's got a gold buckle and gold glasses. And his coat is a bit more velvety looking. I haven't done the background yet. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because it's in pencil, but here we've got a fireplace with a roaring fire, a mantelpiece, and I'm going to put like a clock and some holly and stuff up there. This is the tree here, and they've just got a simple bench that they're sitting on. They had a couple of chairs, but they were, well, they were nice chairs, but they were ornate chairs, but they weren't overly ornate, so you can see the back of the chairs there. They weren't anything special, and I think if I put in a bit of chair there it's going to look a bit odd, so I'd rather just put a bench. But that was the original sketch. That's how she started out. And this is what they look like after I've finished colouring them. And then this was the grotto. These are pictures of the grotto. It was so nicely done. It just looked fabulous. This is a video, I think. Isn't that gorgeous? It's all Victorian style because it's a Victorian building. So it was really prettily done. Really like that. And then there's the desk. Isn't that beautiful? And there was little knickknacks all around. So because it's a pottery place, like literally China. It's where Burley China is made. But there's little like satsumas and limes, split limes in there. And cinnamon sticks, and none of the candles were real. The candles were all light up candles, obviously, because it's fire hazard, but all these little attentions to detail. Big pile of gold presents, gold and silver presents. I love the way they put the lights in between them. I would never have thought of that. They had this big accounting ledger as his book. And then this was an old typewriter, and it had Santa replying letters in there. It's the fireplace, and it had split limes and citrus and stuff. Sorry, am I waving this about? I can't hold it still and point at the camera as well. And then, oh, that's the same. Then old style, like this is mistletoe, proper mistletoe. And then in the cabinet they had all these little tchotchkes, really cute. Santa's stocking on the wall. And then this was in the window, this little church. It was on one side. Really pretty. It had candles inside it, so it was all lit up. It looked really lovely. This little gnome, isn't he cute? I really want to draw him. Oh, come on, focus. There we go. Isn't he gorgeous? Such a cute little boy. I love him with his little basket of goodies. Presents under the desk, and the huge desk, huge ornate desk. Creepy nutcracker, because I don't like them. I think they're creepy and horrible. But I knew somebody somewhere would want a picture of a nutcracker, so I put that up there as well. Another one of the little gnome, because he was cute. My picture on the desk there. And then this little thing was a toy shop, but it was made like a little set. So I thought that would be cute to draw as a room, because if you bring it up close like that, it looks like a room. It was such tiny details, it was amazing. And then this gorgeous deer, I saw these on the decorations. I thought, I better photograph that for Courtney. So nicely done. And then there was this cool Rudolph outside. And it had a sign up the top saying reindeer parking. So, yeah, that's what we've been doing today. Went with the Urban Sketches Stoke. Yeah, the book on the desk just made it for me. That was the bit I really liked. So, of course, while I was in there, what did I do? Oh, hang on a minute. I've lost this somewhere. Am I back in sync with myself? I don't think I am. Oh, there we go. It's the only way I can see chat, you see, is to have another phone open. So yeah, they did a Victorian Christmas Day on Saturday when a lot of people went down in steampunk costumes. And it was a craft market and all sorts of things. It was really nice. And they've had Santa there all week with his missus. So I'm going to finish this off later. I want to do the background a little less detailed. But the desk, of course I drew the desk. This is only in pencil at the moment, so I thought I would sit and do this because I just feel like drawing. And I thought it'd be nice to do a little bit of festive drawing. Let me just see if I need to change my lamp about. That seems to be okay. It's only in pencil at the moment, so you won't really see an awful lot of it. But I thought I would just, you know, show you what I do when I get back from an urban sketch session. Usually I'd have got both of these done in pen at least. I got the Santa done in pen, but because that was 2 people, it was a little bit more labour intensive. So this one only took me about 20 minutes to do because I just did it in pencil and got it down quick. But obviously now I'm going to footsie with it a little bit and, you know, play around with it and make it a little bit more fun. Hi, Lindsay. I really want to put the little gnome in somewhere, but I don't have enough floor space to put him in. I might have to draw the little gnome separately. He might have to be a separate sketch. So it's not really going to be a talk session. I just feel like drawing. But you know me, I kind of can't help myself. So I'll just explain what I'm doing as I go along, and If you want to draw with me, you can, and if you want to join in, you can. If you're a patron, these pictures, both the Santa and this one in the original format, are up on the Christmas Chronicles photo album. So if you want to print them out or you want to copy it and join in, then you can do that. So I don't know how much you can see. It's not terribly clear, but we've got the book here. This is the desk. We've got an ink and quill here. We've got some presents and candles. This is a typewriter, but I didn't have time to draw the whole thing in. Some candles and boxes here. He's got tags and candles and ribbons and, you know, that kind of stuff on his desk where he's been wrapping presents. We've got an old Bakelite style telephone here. Random empty cups of coffee where he's been pulling all-nighters for a while. And then we've got one of these 3-tier cake servers. But it didn't have cakes on it. It had like ribbons and stuff and Christmas tags, and then it had split limes and split tangerines. And then this part was supposed to be that cabinet at the back, but it doesn't quite look right, so I'm not going to ink that in just yet. I think it needs to be more up here to look right. And the angle's off anyway. And then this corner was the presents. So I don't know how much of it I'm going to get to do. Hi, Lindsay. I don't know how much of it I'm going to get to do, but I wanted to at least ink in the outlines. And then I can colour it at my leisure, which is what I normally do. So once I've decided, or once I've done my pencil sketch, I'm basically just going back in with a fine ballpoint pen and just finalising where I want my lines to be. I don't get too detailed at this stage, I just want the outlines in. The reason I did it in pencil first is because it was quite a complicated scene and I wanted to be able to overlap things. Hi, Ina. can hear peculiar noises that sound like snorty pig dogs making snoring noises. That's my snorty pig dog making snoring noises. Hi there. Glad you could join us. We're just doing some festive scribbles today. I've been out to see Santa in his grotto. So I've just finished drawing my Santa. There's my Santa and his missus for my patrons, and then I'm just inking this one in. I drew this one on location and I'm just inking it and colouring it now. So nice relaxing evening, doing a bit of sketching as you do, or as I do anyway. My pen's running out. Whoops. So I'm doing my initial outline in black, purely because it's a little bit easier to see. But I'm going to use coloured pens in a second. And usually the black will disappear into those. What's at the back of the desk? This is another dresser, which should be more over there. I need to reposition that. Over here was a big pile of presents, and along the top of the desk here we've got a couple of wrapped presents. We've got a candle, we've got a ball of string, an inkwell, a bow with a bit of ribbon hanging off. We've got some tags here, small candle, Santa's telephone, a big Bakelite telephone, lots of empty coffee cups, one of those 3-tier cake holders with, it had split tangerines and split limes in it. This is a typewriter over here, but I didn't get to draw the whole thing in, I just drew the general shape. And then this is his main desk, and this is his writing slope. The desk was amazing. I want the desk. They need to donate it to me because it's beautiful. Absolutely amazing. Huge, like 6 foot long, 4 foot high. Oh, just the most gorgeous piece of furniture I've ever seen. How are the doggies? Miss Maddie is sitting on my feet right now, snoring. That's the occasional snorty pig dog noises you can hear. And Scooby's just gone to bed. He's been sitting here singing along with the Christmas carols. But obviously, because I'm live on YouTube now, not private, I was private for my Patreon, so we had our Christmas songs going, and he was singing along. He likes a bit of Bing Crosby, apparently. But now I've got no singing going on. He's retired to bed. So, one thing you'll notice is I'm not being a slave to my... Oh, thank you, Maddie. I'm not being a slave to my pencil lines. If the pencil line doesn't fit, I'm moving it. I drew it, therefore I can change it. Maddie! Will you settle down and stop kicking me, little monster? So, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm all ready for Christmas. Nearly. I've got a couple of little bits of editing to do for the week between Christmas and New Year. But all my Patreon stuff is ready and to go. And my tree's not up. That's tonight's job. It's putting the tree up. My mum and dad are coming down tomorrow. And tomorrow starts the first day of my holidays. Yay! I'm having a holiday for Christmas. That's what Santa's brought me. There will still be Patreon stuff going up, and I've still got Vlogmas videos going up as well, but everything's pre-scheduled. I won't be around. I will be taking some time off. Taking some much needed time off, I have to say. Hi, Kelly. And I have absolutely zero plans for Christmas, which probably means I'll end up on here. Usually more than I usually do. Because I'll be bored in a couple of days. But, you know, it's the principle. If your head thinks you're having time off, it feels like you're having time off, even if you're still doing stuff. So technically I'm having 3 weeks off. Is it 3 weeks? Two and a half weeks, something like that. I'll be back on the 6th. But there's still stuff going up on Patreon in my absence. I missed? Get rid of that dress so it doesn't look right. I'll worry about the background later. I'll do that like I did with the other one. I think I'll worry about that typewriter later as well, because I haven't got enough detail to make it look like a typewriter. Hi Amy. Ali. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live feed. They're quite tiring. And I don't always have the energy to do them, but I'm doing all right today. So been out sketching and then came home and wanted to finish these, and since I'm going to do them anyway, I thought I might as well just switch the camera on and do it live. So I'm just waiting for I'm double checking that I've inked everything in that I need to, because as I just discovered when I did Mr. and Mrs. Claus, I hadn't done the eyes or mouths, which was the bits that I was really proud of, and then I hadn't inked them. So I erased them and I was like, I haven't put them in yet. So I had to redo them. And as always, they didn't quite come out the same the second time, so that was a bit annoying, but I think this would look better with a nice big ornate lock on it. And key with a little tassel on it, maybe. It's not quite in line. There we go, that's better. Yeah, I like that. Just give it a little bit of a focal point. No, I'm drawing from memory. I drew the main thing from an actual live set. It was the Santa's Grotto. I did show the pictures at the beginning of the stream, so later if you want to have a look, you should be able to go back and look at them, but I drew it on location, and then I'm just adding bits that I feel like. Right, I think that'll do. I'm just going to put in the very... I don't want to draw the whole typewriter in, I'm just sketching in the rough shape very, very lightly, so that I can erase those pencil lines and not worry about losing it. That means I can work on the stuff around it. Hi, Steph. Me Miss Maddie, stop kicking me! Little monster. She's trying to get comfy and she keeps like this with her foot. Right. That should be dry now if I avoid that middle piece. So right, there we go. Oh. What shall I start with? My pen is definitely running out. For a more modern desk, I'd leave these lines a bit cleaner, but I want it to look a bit kind of shabby chic. So, colour. We had a black inkwell, and his ledger was mostly red. I make it those bits red. And those bits can be green. Or even brown. And then, no, his tassel can be red. There we go, let's do his tassel red. And then these bits can be green. So I'm just going round outlining what I want very lightly. I don't even know if it picks up on camera, but I'm outlining in ballpoint pen what colour I want things to be. I'll have a red ribbon there. And a green one up there. And that tag will be red because it's a heart. And that can be brown and gold and I think Santa would have a green telephone. It was black, but I'm going to do it green because I think Santa's phone would be green. He wouldn't have a red phone, that's a bit too much like Batman. So then we've got candles and pottery. The pottery was blue. Because it was at a pottery company and they're famous for making the blue burley pottery, I'm making this blue as it was. It doesn't actually fit my picture, but oh well. So we need a bit of red over here, so we'll do the ribbon red. And the next thing I need to do is preserve the light. So where's my marker gone? I used it earlier, where did it go? Did I put it away again? I did. So I've got my neon marker, which I'm not going to use for all the light. Hi Brenda! I'm not going to use for all the light. All I want to do is catch the very lightest part of the light. Thank you for that input, Maddie. I want it to look warm, not neon, so I'm just catching the brightest parts and then I'll go over it with a warmer colour later, but the neon will show through then. so it'll look like a little glowing part. It's a bit like using masking fluid, if you like. Okay. Oh, my hands are freezing. Radiator's on. I don't know why they're so cold. That's why Maddie's under the desk, because the radiator's on. Okie dokie. I'm not worrying about the back edge of the desk yet. I'll worry about that later when I decide what I'm going to put in the background, because it might be that I decide to put a tree in the background and then that would overlap the desk a little bit. So I'm just going to ignore that bit for now. Oh, I know what's missing. Give him some drawers. There we go, that's better. That just fills up those corners with a little bit of something. I think I'll probably do this in shadow, but not black shadow, just like dark brown or dark grey or something like that. Probably brown to go with the desk. Actually, I think I will put in the back of the desk, because it looks like it's going to be about there. Oops. Just to add a little bit more to that bow so it doesn't look like the bow's sitting on the corner of the desk. I don't like things that line up in pictures, so I'm just adding a little bit. You won't see it in a minute. Yep, I like that. Let's get some of this red and green in. And she disappeared off into the zone. See, this is why I like colouring with ballpoint pens. I've actually gone through so many of these in a couple of weeks. I've decided to actually go on Amazon and find myself a box full. The trouble is, it takes me ages to go through the blue ones. I hardly ever use blue. Sorry, Miss Maddie, did I drop something on your head, sweetie? I'm sorry. Well, ballpoint pen, yeah. It started off in pencil and then I inked it in with a fine ballpoint pen. They're all just Bic biros. So I used a fine one for the outlines and then I'm using a thicker one now. I've also got another one that's got 4 different colours. So I've got, this one's got red, black, blue and dark green. And this one's got, sorry, dark blue and dark green. And this one's got light blue, light green, pink and purple. I don't use this one as much, but it's nice to have the alternative colours, especially if you're doing a lot of green. It's quite nice to have 2 different greens. And I also use, I've got a brown, a pink and a orange Inkjoy ballpoint pen as well. I don't really like the Inkjoys, but I haven't found another brown ballpoint pen anywhere. And I haven't yet found a yellow. Apparently there's one in the new set of, if you buy a set of 20 Bic colours, then you end up with a yellow and an orange. But I don't really want to buy 18 pens I don't need just to get a yellow and an orange. So I'll just wait until somebody I know buys them and says, oh, what am I going to use a yellow and an orange for? And I'll go, oh, I'll have them off you. So because I sketched really lightly with the black, rather than going hard in, I can now adjust anything I need. So this edge needs adjusting because it's not in line with everything else. It's all wonky. But by the time I've coloured over it, you won't see that. So even though when I inked, I adjusted it, but now I'm going back in with colour, I'm adjusting it again if I feel it needs it. And the way I get different textures is simply to crosshatch or line in a particular way. So like this is supposed to be leather textured. So I'm just making it very, very smooth. I want it to be so that you can't see any lines in it. And if necessary, I'll go back in with like these Crayolas are quite good for going back in over the top just to fill in, because sometimes you can't get every single bit of paper. So sometimes I'll go in with those and just fill in over the top. In fact, I'll probably do it with this, so might as well show you what I mean. So I'll just... When this dries, it's almost exactly the same colour as the pen, the ballpoint, so it just really adds a layer of softness to it, I suppose, so it looks a bit more leather-like rather than coloured in with a ballpoint pen. But I can go back over this as well with the pen and it'll show up over the top. So if I do want to put a bit of texture back, I can. Another thing to remember about ballpoints, and I mean ballpoints, not gel pens. Gel pens are not the same thing. Ballpoint pens are pressure sensitive. So when I'm colouring with them, I use them like pencils. I don't press harder to get more colour. I go over it to get more colour. Thanks for joining us, Ina. The replay will be up on Patreon later for you, if you want to catch the rest. So yeah, if you want more colour depth, go over it again and lay down more ink. They're oil based, so you can keep putting down more and more layers to get a really dense colour. Don't press harder. you shouldn't be able to see, like on the back of here, this should still be smooth. You shouldn't be able to feel texture where you've pressed so hard with it. Some people write like that, they must get terrible cramp in their hands. I've seen people who press so hard with a ballpoint pen that when they've finished writing a page, the page curls up like this because it's so heavy. Okay, thanks for dropping in, Brenda. See you soon. Going up to edges like this, because I'm going this way because I want to keep the smoothness of the texture. When I get to the end, I don't want to be going that way because that'll mess up the texture. So what I do is I go up, I do the line at the end, and then I use kind of a circular motion to go along the line, and then I can bring that back in and blend it in with the straight lines into what's already there, so you don't get a mismatch of textures that way. So you can see it all matches across perfectly. There's no mismatch or cross grain or anything. So I think what I'm going to do is do the green section. I'm going to do this bit as if it's cloth bound. So I'm going to do this in the green. Be nice and Christmassy. If you're doing two colours together like this, bear in mind that ballpoint never really dries because it's oil based. It never ever 100% dries. So it is possible, if you've got blobs of ink, that you can drag down colour accidentally. So try not to go over what you've already coloured in. Meet lines together. Don't, you know what I mean. Draw a line next to it and go up to it, is what I'm saying. Don't go over, because you run the risk of dragging colour into a lighter area. Hi, Delena. So I want the green to contrast with the red a little bit. I'm going to... See, I've just dragged that bit of red down into the green. Never mind. I'm going to use cross-hatching for the green so that I can make it look a bit more fabric-like a hard canvas type material rather than leather. And follow your contours. Bye, Lindsay. Follow your contours. So if you do this bit cross-hatched like this, then by the time it comes round here, it's going to be at this angle. That'll make it look a little bit more realistic. Claire. So hopefully you can see there the different textures. So the bits that are supposed to be leather are a lot smoother, and the bits that are supposed to be cloth are much more textured. So now what I'm going to do is put in some solid shadows. So obviously there's going to be solid shadows along the edge of this key. And along the bottom edge of this. And the bottom edge of this. Again, just building up layers. I'm not pressing any harder with my pen, I'm just building up layers. Black pen. because that bit of the book is in shadow, but I don't want to make it black shadow because the black is too much because it's white paper. So I'm put a little bit of black in there, and now I'm going to go over it with a bit of green. So it'll be a very, very dark green shadow. So it'll look like a cast shadow by the green binding as opposed to black paper. I want the red tassel to look different to the leather, so what I'm going to do is use a lighter red pen, felt pen, underneath it. And a gold key, I think. Now I've used the same gold there for the thread as I have for the key and the lock. So what I'm going to do is go over it with this, which is my magic pen. It's a Sakura Jelly Roll Clear Stardust. Hi Jackie. So this is clear ink, but it goes on like really twinkly. It goes on like uber fine glitter. So hopefully there you can see, focus, it makes a bit of a difference to make the texture different. We tried to open the book and we couldn't. We were gutted. We wanted to see if we were on his naughty or nice list. I like the look of that darker red over the top of this, so I think I'm going to do that down here as well. The darker red just makes it look a little bit more leather-like, I think. Plus it'll contrast nicely with the ribbons and things that we do later. Because you don't want everything to be the same colour red, that's why I like to layer the ballpoint with the watercolour pens. Watercolour markers. Water-based markers, even. Crayola Super Tips, before anybody asks. Well, these are Crayola Super Tips. These are the Aka something Psy markers. The Psy watercolour markers. They're like the Lyra's. Very nice markers. Watercolour based. These are proper brush pens that you can use with water and a water brush. But if you put these on watercolour paper, you can do the same thing with these as well. And they're a lot cheaper with more colours. Little tip for you there if you enjoy using water-based markers and don't want to spend a fortune. So that'll lighten once it dries properly. And that means I've got 3 different colours of reds now that I can use. Oh, it's freezing. Hour and a half we've been on. Oh, I'll show you how I do shadows, because the desk is going to be brown. Now, I've only got one colour of brown, and it's very, very dark. It's like bark brown. It's very, very difficult to work with, to get any texture or anything. So what I'll do is use... I've got two options. Sometimes I use this, which is my gold Tombow. No particular reason for it being a Tombow, it's just what somebody sent me. I think Lali sent me this. And then I can use the brown over the top of that and it looks slightly lighter. And you can see the texture better. Or I can do the same, but with this brown, which is more tonally similar. It's more orangey based than yellow based, so it matches with this better because it's a red based. So again, that's completely different colour again. I actually prefer this combination because it's almost like having light and dark striations in the wood. So that's how I get my different textures in ballpoint. I layer. I'm really careful about what diagonals and what cross hatching I use. And if I've only got one colour of pen and I need to vary the colours, I just lay a wash down of another colour, another type of pen first, and then layer it over the top with ballpoint. But if I need to put in a shadow, like for instance this book is going to cast a shadow. The way I've got my shadows, I've got them coming this way, but we've got multiple light sources, so I can put shadows almost anywhere. So what I'll do with this book is, because the desk is going to be brown, along the edge of the book I'll edge it in brown. So along the edge and just outside it. It's less harsh than black and it make it sit nicer on the page. Black is a little bit too harsh. But by adding thickness to this bottom line with a darker colour, I'm adding weight to the book. So it looks more solid on the bottom, because it is more solid on the bottom because it's two solids meeting each other as opposed to a solid meeting air. That's how I look at it. If this had been light green, I could have got away with doing it dark green. And that probably would have been enough contrast. Same with the red. If I'd done it light red, I could have done it dark red. And that would have been enough contrast. But since that's not enough contrast on darker colours, I'll use the brown of the table to create a heavy outline. And then I can just very lightly pull the shadow out. It's candlelight, so it won't be creating strong shadows. It's not like I have to have a massive shadow here. That's the height of the book and all this. It's candlelight. This is just enough to make it look like the book is solid and it's sitting on a solid surface. And I can do the same, like on these bits where the leather would be standing up from the cloth. I can add a bit more shadow in there with the brown, because you can't quite see where the green shadow is. So if your shadows aren't strong enough, just go in with a slightly darker colour. but I completely avoid black except for shadowing or emphasizing white things, or like the pen pot is black. So what I'll do with that, actually I'll show you that one in a minute because that'll be a quick one to do. Yeah, it gives it weight. It makes it look like it's sitting on a table. It's not just floating in midair. And same for these bits. It makes it look like that leather is stuck to the cloth as opposed to, well, it could be anything. Just lends a bit of weight to it. You don't want to do it all the way around. You only want to meet it. I call them contact shadows. It's like you have a shadow like that. That's a cast shadow. And then you have a proximity shadow. So you get a cast shadow here, but you've also got a proximity shadow. So you get two shadows. And when you get really close, you start getting a contact shadow. So it's like you've got 3 grades of shadows. Contact shadows are very, very tiny. It's the dark bits in between your fingers where they touch. Proximity shadows is the next layer of shading. And then cast shadows is really light. Cast shadows are usually, unless it's strong sunlight, it's very light. So if it's very strong light, you'll get a very, very fixed, sharp shadow. But you can see here, it's not a sharp shadow. It's a layer of different shadows, if that makes sense. All right, thanks for joining us, Steph. It's time for me to eat too, nearly. I'm starving. I can't believe it's 8:30. But yeah, this is what I call a proximity shadow. So if you look at where your fingers meet, you'll see there's a dark line in between. It's that illusion of a black line. So by just darkening up where things touch, not with black, but with a slightly darker colour, it just adds a little bit of weight. Like you say, it looks like the book is in touch with the table. It's not just floating in the middle of goodness knows where. Same with this lock. We want this lock to stand up, so I go round it with a bit of dark. It'll make it look like it's standing up. Bit tricky to do on metallic pen, but you can even go into your lock, do a little bit of embossing scribble to make it stand up. And if you really want to be fancy, you can get your white pen, and if it's going to catch the light like this metal, you can add a white edge where it would catch the light and maybe put in a few dots of white just to make it really stand out and kind of eliminate the shadow on one side. Boom. So this bottle is black. Well, if I just colour it in black, it's going to be blocked. So what I'm going to do with this instead is get a nice grey, a medium grey, that'll do, because I want my black to stand out against the grey. So I put in my colour background, my wash if you like. You could do this with watercolour as well. I used to do it with watercolour and pencil as well. But then I'm going to use my black, and I'm not using my fine black, I'm using my thick black because I want colour, I don't want lines. So I'll put in my edges, and obviously the ink is standing on the table, so that line is going to be heavier at the bottom. And then we can put in our lighter lines to show the roundness of the bottle. I can colour this in solid. This is going to be the lid. And then to give it a bit of shine, where's the light source? So there's the candles over there, so we'll give it a little bit of shine on this edge, like that. And then it doesn't look like a completely solid black mass, you see. It's got a little bit of form and focus to it. I might even add a bit more, make it a bit darker on this side, just to emphasize the shadow side. And then add the brown shadow underneath, where it will touch the table. By using a brown shadow, we indicate that it's a glass bottle. If it was a solid black bottle, it would cast a black shadow. But by using a brown shadow, it makes it look more sheer. Like so. Focus. There we go. See? Shiny little bottle with a lovely shadow. Ta-da! Oh, I think that's it for today. I'm getting tired now. My hand's starting to cramp up. My voice is going and I'm hungry. So I will say thank you very much for joining me. For those who weren't here at the beginning, this is the other one I did. I just finished this one off. This is Santa and Mrs. Claus from the grotto. Again, I drew it on location and then finished it off the colouring. I actually started the colouring on location and I finished off the colouring. I've still got to redo his hat with another layer. But that's, and the background. But that's mostly done. And that one is, I did that one for my patrons. So if you're on Patreon, you could be able to see that one from start to finish. And I think I've also got proper footage of the actual drawing that I can put on Patreon as well, because I took my little camera with me. So you should be able to see the whole thing from start to finish over on Patreon. And then this one obviously will stay on YouTube for you guys. So thanks for joining me. Hope you have a lovely Christmas if I don't speak to some of you, although I'm off now starting tomorrow for 2.5 weeks. It'll probably take me about 3 days to get bored, so round about Christmas Eve I'll probably be back. And in the meantime, there's videos going up for Vlogmas on here, and there's videos going up on Patreon for the rest of Christmas Chronicles. So I won't be about, but there will still be videos going up. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and thank you for joining me. See you again soon.